Okay, so time's up already. Please stand up. This one so. Okay, please hold the palm. Okay, bow to the Buddha. Okay, first prostration. Okay, second prostration. Okay, third prostration. Okay, one bow to the Buddha again. Okay, please take a seat. Okay, please take a seat. Okay, because quite many questions to answer, so today the chanting we recite the Guan Yin Pusa Senda for just 8 minutes, cut down 2 minutes. Discount for having some discount. Okay, please hold the palm and follow me. 南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无 世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨。Okay, please follow me. 南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。Okay. Okay, good morning all brothers and sisters. Okay, first announcement is regarding our next lesson. Okay, can I go back? Hey, hello computer, how come can I move on the slide? Can I go to the previous one? I go and touch it. Okay. Okay. Okay, our next session will be on 21st of this month as normal, first and third week, regardless whether got fourth and fifth week for the month. Okay, so next lesson will be on 21st of May. Now, so before we kick off, start the lesson, Just one thing I want to tell you, why we want to have a chanting, I told you before the reason behind. Just I was studying in England, if you go to the church, of course, I didn't know whether to go to the church. I went to the church before, so, they sing the Bible song, for instance, like 1.5 hours, 1 hour singing song, half an hour Bible talk, so they are more emotional rather intellectual. But on the other hand, Buddhism is different, almost all the 1.5, all Dharma talk. Then people think about emptiness, empty, everything empty. So empty pocket when they go out. Too intellectual. So this is another extreme. So that is the reason why I want to have some recite the Buddha's name or the Bodhisattva name, to foster your religious spirituality. 宗教情操, Although this is a Dharma talk or Dharma class, but most of the talk or class outside they just slowly just conduct the Dharma talk. So that's the difference. Okay, so there are a few questions here. I'll make it very fast one. This one sent through the email. They sent to the Buddhist lords, then they sent to me. 2 questions, quite a long question. He said, below is my question. Dear Venerable, last lesson you wrote on the board that emptiness equal to detachment. Okay, before I write on the whiteboard. Can you explain what you mean? I explained already, But just like you cannot understand, okay? I did explain. I didn't tell a lie in front of the Buddha, okay? So thought sunyata, or in bracket emptiness, he said, I come from Theravada tradition. I believe because if you're English educated, as you know, not very common in Mahayana talk in English. So I believe whether you're from Tibetan Buddhism, or you're from Theravada Buddhism. But anyway, I will explain to you, there's a student feedback to the Lord, and they told me, say, when you talk about Theravada, better be careful because I don't know whose audience from Theravada background, so a bit not happy. I put some comments on Theravada, but don't mistaken. Okay, I didn't really strongly criticize Theravada tradition. I told you, beside Theravada, there's a Mahayana. Of course, they didn't recognize the Mahayana teaching in Buddhism. But having said that, I just want to to highlight to you, they have a very close relationship between the 2 traditions. Okay, so just you have another alternative. Even I went to Thailand, they know Theravada, but they don't know Mahayana. But you cannot say because not simply they just must come up from Buddha, the word from his mouth, then you consider it's a Buddha teaching. Not necessarily, according to Nagarjuna in one of the treatises, can be no Buddha himself can be his disciple or divine being. As long as they talk about the Dhamma, the teaching from the Buddha, then this is considered is a kind of the word from the Buddha mouth. The kind of thing I told you before. So please don't be so sensitive. I didn't really make such a comment because Theravada and Mahayana, they are closely related, just a brother and sisters, And well, when I believe you study Theravada tradition, I didn't think so. You touch on Mahayana tradition, but when you study Mahayana teaching, that will include Theravada teaching. So give you another alternative to know Mahayana teaching. And even you go, just I went to Thailand, the university. They want the professor specialize in Mahayana teaching because they realize that now Mahayana teaching also very popular. And this just I'm teaching in my college, and those Theravada monks, although they are not really convinced by me. I mean, because already ingrained in their mind, of course, they believe. Belief is your choice, it's a choice, right? You have a different choice. Just I want to do the degree, or you want to do the master, or you want to do the PhD. That solely depends on your background, your interest, your capability. Your ability can do that. If you cannot do that, you cannot do postgraduate study. You study a degree, bachelor degree. Wow, okay, no problem. Well, you finish your university education. Why? This is a very common education. Okay. So please take note of that. I'm not disdain or the Theravada teaching. No. Okay. So just want to clarify my stand. Okay, so you say thought sunyata bracket and emptiness is not a popular concept in this tradition. Are you sure? Theravada talk about emptiness in terms of no self. They believe in no self. Get rid of self attachment. No self. Chinese called 无我. And this is how they believe. So they're very keen to get rid of self attachment. So they practice Four Noble Truths. Dependent origination, tree study and so on and so forth, emptiness. They do talk about emptiness. I'm very strange that you say no in your tradition. You go back to check again. But just like because you talk about self-attachment, but in my teaching, not only self-attachment, but not only self-benefit, have to benefiting others due to a great compassion, tape. Okay? And this is something to do with the Dharma. We call it small d. All things in the phenomena. Lack of intrinsic nature. Okay? And this is a very profound teaching. When you explain emptiness, as I told before, it's very, very difficult to explain. Most of the speaker, I believe, and even for audience, very difficult to understand. Why? Because emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. 没有. No money in my pocket, this is called nothing. But emptiness is not nothingness. Emptiness refers to the nature or the characteristics of all things in the phenomena. And nature cannot seen through your naked eye. Just as I said, the nature of this statue, or this computer, of this table, can you see the nature of this table? Can't. You can't. You can't. Right? So nature is a philosophical term whereby we cannot see through our naked eye. So it's very difficult to understand, and also very difficult for those speakers to explain to you. Probably they know, but they don't know how to explain. Okay? And throughout my more than 20 years of teaching, and I realized that, this is probably the way to, from the mundane perspective, and to explain to you this so-called core teaching in Buddhism. Okay? So, Theravada Buddhism, of course, it gives you a self-attachment, 无我. Self-attachment called 我执, right? Self-attachment. So they practice meditation, sort of like recluse, meditate in the forest. We call it forest monk, and they emphasize a lot in meditation. So basically, it's to get yourself, your ego. Ego, you know, the manipulate ego. Like you say, I met a student. He cannot get along with the boss, and very painful. Because the boss, they keep on tekan him, torture him or whatever. So if you cannot tolerate, then you have to resign. And you resign, he's very happy. Because you resign, company is going to compensate, give you a certain amount of money. Because you resign. But if I sack you, must be the very reason, otherwise I have to compensate you, 我要赔你钱呢. So of course the boss will keep quiet. It's just like in the army, I tekan you, torture you until you cannot stand. They call torture, tekan. I was in the army before, I know. But now the army all switch off on. Now army is different from my time of training. Last time is very tough one. Now go for live firing or travel by aircon coach. My goodness. If during wartime got aircon coach, it's just like go for Ukraine-Russia war in Ukraine, you go and travel by aircon coach. I must be joking. And now the computer war, computer game one. So advanced. But anyway, back to here. In fact, a lot of story to tell you, but no time. So, definitely they will teach you the emptiness in Theravada tradition, whether Theravada or Mahayana. It's just like slightly different. In Theravada, they call it emptiness, sunya or sunyata, 空. Emptiness. This emptiness in terms of to eradicate self-attachment, 革除, 断除, abandon or eradicate. Okay? But in Mahayana, we talk about ultimate emptiness, 毕竟空. That's a difference, slightly different. So it's called 毕竟空, ultimate emptiness. Just like emptiness or emptiness. There's a scholar written a book called Emptiness or Emptiness, called 空空. 不是頭殼空空. That's why very profound. And this is a verb. This is a noun. Or it's a concept. This is a verb. To how to detach. Don't cling on to the concept of emptiness at the end of the day. That's the reason why I meant during my last lesson, I say emptiness equal to detachment. Why equal to refers to detachment? 没有执着. Because the emptiness refers to the nature. And because of nature of emptiness of all things in the phenomena, Therefore, all things are depend on causes and condition. It's just like you come for the Dharma class, you have to depend on the good condition, you know. Make sure you smooth in your transport, you wake up on time, nothing wrong, you didn't fall sick, you didn't get COVID-19, you know, everything smooth, you come here peacefully, then you come for the lecture. And peacefully, you leave the classroom. Once you leave the classroom, nothing hurt. Your business. Correct now. And this is called detachment. Right? So detachment, that means you put into practice, how you put into practice in your daily life. Otherwise, you say emptiness, Kong. Kong, how to practice? Kong is a noun, it's a verb, it's a word. 一个字嘛. Then how to practice in our daily life? So when you apply this concept to practice in our daily life means when you encounter things in our phenomena or in our daily life, we don't cling on. 我们不要执着, don't cling on to the external object. And this is called detachment. 没有执着. And this is called emptiness. But unfortunately, most of us, you and me, we usually easily influenced by the external world, external object. And that's the reason cause suffering. Impermanence, in Buddhism talk about impermanence cause suffering. 无常故苦. So just like my yesterday student, he didn't realize that he really have a high ego. You cannot have a conflict with your boss, you know. If you have a conflict with your boss, you can get along well. I tell you, you just like you're suffering in the hell. Because the rest of your colleague, nothing wrong. Only you know. He penalized you. Then it must be your mistake or something mistake already. You cannot bring your boss, you know. In Hokkien, you know. And this is called dependent origination, right? Dependent on cause and condition. But he didn't realize his fault. But I dare not to say. You see, this is called how you're going to apply the Dharma in your daily life, you know. Not just chanting, Namo Guanxin Pusa, then spiritual power come with the smoke. Come on, Buddhism talk about blessing and 保佑. It's not like that one. Tibetan Buddhism, how to do the blessing? Tibetan. 灌顶嘛, initiation, 磨裂头. This is called Tibetan Buddhism, no? Theravada, how they do the blessing? 喷水, like firefighter. Pew, pew, spray the water. Mahayana, how we do the blessing? With the mouth. 身体健康. This is called blessing already. And some people say, hey, Venerable, can you do the blessing for me? I do the blessing already. 你给我红包我就 blessing. Because 因为你给我红包，我不是跟你讲说身体健康，有人没讲的呢。Silence, you mistake thing for granted. You give me 红包 no, I beg for it. I take, just take. But usually 我们很客气嘛，身体健康。This is blessing already. What else? Why? You want me to kick your buttock? So to me, no comments. Different tradition, different way of practice. You know, just a Pope, Catholic, Pope, 教宗, they do the blessing. They kiss your foot or whatever. 他吻你的脚嘞。You got Hong Kong, they also kiss, you know, by right, you know. Okay, back to here, a lot of things to tell. So I understand it to be a characteristic of nature. Yeah, I told you before, so just now I explained. So that's the reason we call it emptiness equal to detachment, right? You don't grasp or you renounce. Yeah, of course. It means you don't cling on to the external object. Okay, question number 1. Number 2. Wow, background. Till now, I still don't have any idea what emptiness means. I told you before, you must have some basic knowledge in the Dharma. I cannot to teach all over again from kindergarten to university. I can't do that because it's not fair to the rest of the student. Right? I only can explain you in a very simple manner. Emptiness is driven to the nature of all things. All things are dependent on causes and conditions. Because of emptiness, all things are dependent on causes and conditions. And all things are, because of causal condition, all things are impermanent. And because of impermanence, cause suffering. So therefore, we cannot cling on to the external object. And this is the final conclusion. If we still don't know, I also don't know. It helped that during the class when introducing big concept like emptiness, perhaps Sifu can spend more time elaborating. If I spend more time, now it's 15 分钟 already. I still got 2 more questions to answer. 15 minutes already. So you want a more detailed one, I tell you, if condition arise after the class or before the class, it come early a little bit, then 1-to-1, I tell you. If you still don't know, I also don't know how to explain to you. So I'm conscious that a deeper understanding can only take root later, not now, but for a start, what is emptiness? Okay, anyway, I explained to you already. Okay? So, I mean, if you have time, go to the internet and search what is emptiness, the meaning of emptiness, they will come out already. And from there, you see how they explain to you. Okay? Okay, second question. I have a question for you. We understand that intent of an action is important to determine if an action is right or wrong, good or bad. So I would like to know what is Buddhism views regarding capital punishment, especially towards drug-related crimes whereby the law was largely imposed to serve more as a deterrent rather than to punish the offender. Now, anyway, recently it came out in the newspaper talking about drug addicts, our minister, Shamagan, and, those people taking drugs is getting younger and younger and younger. It came out in the newspaper. So government was so worried. We always talk about prevention better than cure. So we have to prevent it, make sure the young people don't get the drugs and become addicted, Anyway, in Buddhism, talk about karma is your intention. All right, it's your intention. And if you're taking drugs, of course, it's no good for your health, and you might, influence the whole society, influence other people to follow up with you, the kind of things. Although you didn't have such an intention, but when you do it, and this is a bad kind of a bad deeds or conduct or behavior, and definitely you have a bad karma action, the kind of thing. But if you, based on the society law, in Singapore law, if you are smuggle the drugs or something like that, you are sentenced, death sentence, Even travel the airplane, before you touch down in Chang airport, they will make it clear to you, 你不能带毒品, They will announce it, more than how many kilogram or whatever. When you touch down in the Chang airport, you caught by the ICA immigration officer, straight away, no bargain. And of course, some people will comment this is a very strict law in Singapore, but you cannot make such a comment because every country have your own laws and rules and regulation or whatever. Just as I studied in England, there's a guy from Netherlands, Holland, very big size one, Amolang, sibit tocha. They say, hey, Venerable, you are from Singapore. I say, yes. Oh, you're Singapore so very, very strict, I say, why? You say, ban chewing gum. 口交糖 ban chewing. You say, in London, England, They can have a chewing gum. And you know how they cause a lot of problems, society problem in London? The tube, they call it tube, MRT, they call it tube. Then people travel, the Manchester United, the Ferguson, the coach. When he's so exciting, he ban chewing gum. Why? To relax the stress, exciting, This is how people do it. Wow, they can do it, but Singapore law cannot. How when they chew the gum, they just stick to the public, the door or whatever, very dangerous. And they will spend millions of pounds every year to clear the chewing gum, the things. You want to do that? Singapore, you want to follow England? You do that, the money come from where? Taxpayer. Where got money come from? Government. Part of the money is come from the taxpayer. You want to pay for it? Some people say, I don't want. I'm not one to do it. But you're not the one to do it, but you pay the money for people to do it. Do you think it's fair? I'm not talking politics. This is also Dharma. Okay. Because you're asking about capital punishment, 很严厉的 punishment. So Singapore have to do that. So different country, different culture, different background, you sometimes cannot compare. It's just like apple and orange. Both are considered fruits, 水果, right? But apple and orange are different. How to compare? You must compare orange and orange, apple and apple. 女人跟男人怎么 compare? How to compare? 男人跟男人可以 compare 吗? Handsome or ugly? You can say, guys, you are very beautiful. Aiyo. Guy cannot say beautiful, pretty. Guy is considered handsome. Right? You cannot say 女人你很 handsome. 哇，细掉了 handsome. 女人是 pretty 很美丽 Right? So it must be both things can belong to same category so that you can compare. Yeah? This is my view. So, that happened that recently published in a newspaper talking about drugs. Do you read the newspaper? You see, most of them, they didn't read one. Only read the sutra, emptiness, emptiness. Okay, so what is the difference? This in Chinese, I explain in English. You say, what is the difference between sutra and mantra? Mantra, you know mantra? 咒, 咒啊, 念咒啊. Mantra. Just I always say about 6 syllables, 6字大言密什么真咒 Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum. But tell one thing, if you know the history in Buddhism, mantra is not a very important teaching in Buddhism during the Buddha time. Mantra is actually, especially when it transmitted to Tibet. So, you will realize that whether Aumi Jing or Heart Sutra Xinjing, at the behind, they do have the mantra. So, of course, I didn't do the research. But as long as you talk about mantra, it's not original teaching in Buddhism because they are highly influenced by born religion in Tibet, Benjiao, initially, because they emphasize a lot on mantra. So, it's basically from there. And what is the meaning of mantra? Mantra is such a code word, a computer code word, you know. No specified meaning one. Okay? It's just like you mantra, you chant. Of course, they say it's a code password directly linked to the Buddha or Bodhisattva, so it's direct one, very fast one. But they don't have a so-called like specific meaning in the mantra. Or you 念大悲咒, or 往生咒, Namo阿弥陀佛耶多那耶多耶. All these are Sanskrit word one. Okay? Or 往生咒. Wow. Or simply Jeti Polo. All these are not Chinese. All these are Sanskrit. Alright? So basically mantra, you can say not original teaching in Buddhism, but more on Tibetan Buddhism. Right? They stress a lot on the spiritual power, blessing, 福报, fortune, good fortune. And this is what people want. What people want. Who want the Dharma? Dharma so profound emptiness, 聽無個 student 聽無了個 Dharma, 阿媽咯. Right? Then you come to Buddhism, it's just like you come to Taoism, you aiming for blessing, 保佑嘛. Dharma first, very difficult to understand. Second, very don't know how to practice the Dharma. So a lot depend on external help. Chanting, external power, help. So a lot of people like chanting or whatever. But I say Dharma talk, practice the Dharma, difficult. That's the reason why. Okay? Now, so this is mantra. Sutra is spoken. Those teachings are spoken by the Buddha. And this is called Qing, Buddhist scripture, Sutra. Clear? So that is the difference. Qing, they were written in long essay or whatever. It's all the Dharma inside the Sutra. All the Dharma inside the Sutra. Whether emptiness, all kind of things. Or Eightfold Path, and so on and so forth. Clear? And that's the difference between Sutra and Mantra. Okay, next. He say, he or she, I don't know, ever heard the friends mention about those deceased? People pass away? And especially come to the night time, they will hear some sounds or whatever, 聽到聲音你知無？聽到聲你看啊。So I believe this, you say, this is very common when people pass away, they will come back to come back again, that kind of. So you will hear some sounds or whatever. But I tell you, all these are superstitious. Is it because you think too much, then you do? Of course, you think too much, then you will dream. 日有所思，夜有所梦 in Chinese. So sometimes may not be true. Dream the kind of things. But let me tell you, in Buddhism, not I say one. According to the Buddha, not me. I quote. When somebody passes away, if you are very good in, not say cultivation, just a normal people, if you do a lot of good things, do a lot of charity work, help a lot of people and so on and so forth. We call it good deeds, good dharma. When he or she passes away, you didn't talk about sex cycle, So immediately 啊，很快的啊 ，immediately will go to the heaven. If on the other hand, those people having the big bad karma, bad action, harm a lot of people, kill a lot of people, and so on and so forth, when he or she pass away, also immediately, 1 second, 2 seconds, will go to the hell. So there's only 2 ways only, up or down, very clear. And there's a third possibility. Those people are not really do a lot of good things and not really do a lot of bad things. 半堂赛你知道不？半天掉，半天掉。So that don't know where to go when he pass away. Of course, Buddhism don't believe in soul. Okay? Because soul is sort of like, we call it ontology. I told the student before. From the philosophical point of view, there's a term called ontology. In Chinese. So they believe there's a true entity or substance there. Will never change. But this is against the Buddha teaching. Right now. So therefore we don't believe in soul. 灵魂啊，一般人讲。We believe in consciousness. You know consciousness? 是。Chinese called 是。Consciousness. And this is something to do with the emptiness. It's something to do with the karma? Yeah. Yeah. So, emptiness is subject to changes depending on your karma. So, when you're not doing a lot of bad things or good things, it just hang in the air. According to the Buddha teaching, there are different kind of version, whether within 7 days, 7天之内, or 49 days, or endless time, 无限时日, according to one of the treatises in Theravada teaching, 大毗婆沙论. I've forgotten the Sanskrit name. Okay, we call it 大毗婆沙论. And that, 半天掉啊, so within these time periods, at the end of 7 or 49 days or whatever, they have to determine where they're supposed to go. Whether go to the hell, go to the heaven, or reborn as animals, or asura, or hungry ghosts. So they have to determine, have to 决定去哪里, where to go. Okay? These 3 conditions. Then for those Buddhists very good in cultivation, for instance, you practice Amitofo, you done a lot of things, good things, and so on. So when you pass away, you make such a vow, 我要往生西方极乐世界, then you go. But in the 西方极乐世界, there are 9 grades, different 9品往生 upper, middle, upper, low, upper, low, upper. So 上品, 上中, 上品, 上中品, 上下品. You know what I mean? So everyone got 3 times 3 power of 3, so it's 9 grades. For you and me, if you want to expect Amitofo, like hold your hand and go 观音菩萨, so that's 我带你去 I tell you, we sure under the lowest grade one. We are not so smart one. I told the student, we had to climb ourselves, 爬到那边去. Right now, 见到阿弥陀佛, I don't believe this kind of thing. Difficult, Right now, we don't have such a wisdom, good in cultivation. 因为阿弥陀佛在帮你来带你. It's just like VIP 嘛. If you're a very important person, 你先don't come to you, When you are not important one, 你搭巴来咯, 借车来咯, take MRT 咯. I send the VIP come to fetch you. You are not the Prime Minister of Japan, That usually, recently the Japan Prime Minister visited Singapore, right? Stop over. 你先就要派一辆车去载他去 hotel 嘛 because he's a Prime Minister 嘛 right? So different kind of status, different kind of treatment. It's like that one 嘛 Why not? Okay, this is my answer. Okay, no time already. Go back to your textbook, please. Refer to your textbook, page 71. Sutra, I read the sutra first. Now it's in the chapter 3. 第三品. So I read out the Chinese one first. You can refer to the Chinese sutra. I don't know which page, chapter 3. 第三分, 大乘正宗分第三. 佛告须菩提，诸菩萨摩诃萨应如是降伏其心。所有一切众生之类，若往生，若胎生，若湿生，若化生， 若有色，若无色；若有想，若无想；若非有想，非无想，我皆令入无余涅盘而灭度之。如是灭度无量无数无边众生，实无众生得灭度者。何以故？须菩提，若菩萨有我相、人相、众生相、寿者相，即非菩萨。Okay, so this is in Chinese chapter 3. 第三分。So now you refer to your textbook, page 71, chapter 3. So now I read in English. The Buddha said to him, Subhuti, those who would now set forth on the Bodhisattva path should thus give birth to this thought. However, many beings, they are in whatever realms of being might exist, whether they are born from an egg, or born from a womb, or born from a water, or born from the air, whether they have a form or no form, whether they have perception or no perception, or neither perception nor no perception. In whatever conceivable realm of being one might conceive of beings, in the realm of complete nirvana, I shall liberate them all, and thought I thus liberate countless beings. Not a single being is liberated. And why not, Subhuti? A bodhisattva who creates the perception of a being cannot be called a bodhisattva. And why not, Subhuti? No one can be called a bodhisattva who creates the perception of a self, or who creates the perception of a being, alive, or a soul. Now, so you read the statement, you find that, is there any paradox when you say, oh, you cannot, if you talk about you're going to liberate the sentient beings, then you are not considered qualified yourself as a bodhisattva or whatever. So all these are something to do with the emptiness, and when you do things, we shouldn't cling on to it. Some people, for instance, they go to a temple, they do a lot of voluntary work, then we start to promote himself. Hey, see, I volunteer, to help this and do that. I wash the toilet. I take the attendance there. As a volunteer, so just want to, promote himself to let everybody know. And this is called attachment. Okay, but if you do it quietly, just I practice no self. You think that this is my responsibility. I have time. I contribute it to benefit people. People happy, I happy. To help people. Then you don't expect anything in return. And this is something I practice no self. And that should be the way. Right? People donate the money to publish in the newspaper, front page must be very big one, photo, everything. To make sure the whole world are knowing I'm doing the good things. Or I'm very rich in the world, something like that. And this is how people, although they, practice giving, but they attach to themselves, attach to the, money or fame and status. And this is not the Buddha teaching. All right? And this is not emptiness. Clear? Now, so can you look at on the PowerPoint here? Perception. We go to perception first. Now, in Chinese, just talk about perception, 想, right? In Chinese, 想. So perception simply means cognition, 认知, observation, sensitivity, awareness, okay, etc. So the oldest definition of perception in the Buddhist tradition is the one by Vasubandhu. You know Vasubandhu? 释清菩萨. He got another brother called Asanga. So these two are the two co-founders of Yogacara school, 唯识 mind-only school in Buddhism. Okay? So this is called Vasubandhu. Anyway, you can go to the behind the glossary. They will explain who is Vasubandhu. Perception is a cognition that arises from the object which is represented therein. Okay? So this is the explanation of the, we call it perception. Okay, back to the textbook. Chapter 3, can you see the below? Page 71. This then is what Bodhisattva do. You know Bodhisattva, right? Pusa means enlightened being. Okay? Now in Buddhism, when you talk about the different stage, the highest stage is Buddha, Fo, then followed by Bodhisattva. Although in the Theravada tradition, they don't recognize Bodhisattva. 他们不叫菩萨的 right? They believe Shakyamuni Buddha is the Arhat. Then Bodhisattva followed by Arhat, Arwan. Okay? So these are the three different kind of, we call it the final stage, the result in the, when you practice the Dharma, in Buddhism. So nowadays when they in Theravada tradition, they say, oh, this is a Buddha, but actually they know that this is or sometimes they call it great Arahat, Da Arohan, right? So they practice the Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths, and so on and so forth. And they call this a liberated one. Attain Nirvana, right? There's Nibbana. So this is in Theravada tradition. But in Mahayana tradition, we talk about compassion, bodhicitta, right? 6 parameter. It's a different practice, different teaching slightly. And of course, it's originated from Theravada tradition. And the final fruition, we call it Buddha. Right? Attain enlightenment. Okay, we call it enlightenment. Enlightened one, Buddha. And before they become Buddha, there's a stage we call it Bodhisattva. Okay? So in the Agama Sutra, they claim that it's the original sutra spoken by the Buddha in the Theravada tradition. So this Agama Sutra, of course, they didn't mention so many Bodhisattvas. They only mention 2 only. You can find in the Agama Sutra. One is Shakyamuni Bodhisattva. One is a Maitreya, Mila Pusa. 2 Bodhisattvas, that's why they ignore it because it's a minority. And moreover, Buddha, after he attained enlightenment, he became Buddha. We call it Buddha, and no more Bodhisattva. So in fact, left one only. It's our future Buddha from our tradition. It's our future Buddha, means Maitreya, Bodhisattva, Mila Pusa, the big stomach with the smiling, the one. Is there any statue here in the log downstairs? Last time people very superstitious. They go to, I don't know which temple. They use their hand to touch the stomach. So. And the Maitreya Bodhisattva, the stomach, gold color become black color. Choose dirty hand. And now you don't clean your hand, then now got germ, virus, everything. Then keep more,保佑較早死咯，保佑then 中 COVID 咯，這個中 COVID 了 virus transmitted then to the Mila Pusa stomach. Then Mila Pusa stomach 因為唔知中 COVID, I don't know. Hard to tell. Correct now. Then I see a little, how come so superstitious? More, 保佑。Even with to put the incense on 那個香爐then my last time my grandmother went to the temple say, the floating the number come out 4 number 唔會俾標，你睇唔會俾標，因為個 4 number come out 真準呢，個真準呢，真正丟，我是咩？Because last time I was a boy, I don't know so I went with my grandmother. Then a lot of people gather around. So,夸. I tell one thing, you keep on asking me, any 4 number? I said, no, do that. They force me to say yes, He said, 一定有. How can you force me? No, that means no, Then how can I say yes? Yeah, very superstitious. And they believe,唔三唔四, 5354, 較緊背. Tell you, what to do? Okay, back to here. So this then is what Bodhisattva do, which is also what Buddha do. They give the gift of liberation. Talk about liberation, go back to here. 解脱. So Arhat is a liberated one. 解脱者, if you study the way to Buddhahood, the textbook. Right, 解脱, or in Sanskrit called Nirvana, Niyama, if you know the Hokkien. I mean, you want to learn Sanskrit, unless you're Hokkien, Hokkien 真貴嘛，對嗎？Niyama, when you see Niyama, 你就解脱，你就解脱，看到 Niyama 你就解脱了嘛。So Nirvana, all the liberation from cycle of rebirth. We know in Buddhism talk about 6 cycle, right? So we have to transcend, come out, surpass from the 6 cycle. Otherwise, this is how we are suffering, round and round and round. And that's the reason why you want to study Buddhism. Get rid of this kind of cycle, the suffering, round and round. And this is called liberation, right? Liberate from the one. So, from cycle of rebirth is the highest aim of Theravada tradition. I told you before just now. So, the highest goal is Nirvana, 解脱 for Theravada tradition. So when you talk about 解脱 liberation, it's talking about self-liberation, 自己的解脱. That's the reason why they emphasize a lot on meditation. As long as you do the meditation, practice meditation, right? It's basically for your self-gain, self-benefit. Okay? So they are more on the self-benefit. 自己自利解脱. At least for Theravada tradition. Of course, they do propagate the Dharma, nowadays, whatever, but this is not their final aim, right? They are more on self-attachment. Of course, you didn't criticize, you didn't mistaken. I say, oh, they were selfish. No. It's different from Bodhisattva. All right? This is not what I say. This is from the Sutra. I got proof on. You want me to prove? I can prove to you. Because I'm doing the research. Everything must be black and white. I'm not talking nonsense. Okay? Because I'm trained from this kind of circle. You want to challenge me? I can give you the evidence. Okay, so a high school is a Buddhahood. So in which there is no abiding in the Nirvana. Buddha helps liberate beings from samsara. This is a samsara lunghui. In the sixth cycle, we call it samsara, round and round. And this is how we are suffering now. We are all in the samsara. So just imagine, if now we are in the samsara, and yet we don't know the Dharma, we don't practice the Dharma, there's no way you can surpass, transcend from the sixth cycle. No way. Next life, again, even become worse and worse and worse. Right? But you say, hey, you want to argue, I want to ask you. Then how, Venerable? Now I study emptiness, they are bokiu. Just some people ask me, so how? Study means no study, because I don't know. But I tell you, of course you don't know it's very normal. If you know it's abnormal. 懂就不正常, right? That means because most of people they don't know. But just imagine, you don't know, you just come here, you planting a seed, 种了一个种子. So when your next time whatever condition arise, the thing will sprout out, they'll grow. So now you don't know, next life, if the Buddhist Lord still around, you come here, probably different speaker, you know already, say, oh, in 2023, I was attended from Venerable Chang, he told me emptiness. Then the guy will ask you, who is he? Because next life already, but at least you planting a seed, then who knows? 你就会开花结果吗? Right or not? So don't give out. You come better than you absent. In Chinese called 钻研道场, You still got married. But of course, you don't cling on to it. As long as you come here, it's a good action. Right? You come here, you learn the good things. You don't come here to learn the bad things. But let me tell you, we are not a cult. All right? Cult and religion is different. Even within the religion, some very superstitious one and some, very extreme one. So you also be careful. Doesn't mean the religion is good, So in Buddhism, talk about we have to rely on the Dharma, not the person. 依法不依人. Including myself. I'm the human being, Although we are monks. But doesn't mean that all monks are good, Some are bogus monks. Some of the monks never follow the precepts. So you must open your wisdom eye, not naked eye. 慧眼看英雄，肉眼看狗熊. In Chinese. Yeah? So you must be smart. So you learn the Dharma, you become smarter. Because you have some wisdom. You know how to protect yourself. Also protect other people. Okay? So, as the time goes by, you listen more, know more Dharma, you know what I'm talking, okay? Certain things even recently happened, I cannot tell you. People really strongly criticize me, say I criticize the Theravada tradition, so I better be careful. Because I don't know you come from which background. So you see, as a speaker like me, I don't care, I'm very outspoken. So 我得罪很多人. Yeah. So some people, wait for me outside, I also don't know, so better be careful. 有命在这边，没命走出去了. So the next lesson you see me disappear, emptiness. So Brother An will come over and take over. I'm Brother An, I'm a student of Venerable Chang. So now I want to liberate the emptiness, the lecture. Okay, from samsara by teaching the Buddhist path. Okay, back to the textbook. Now, so they give a gift of liberation, with some accept, while others don't. So their restoration, however, is to liberate all sentient beings or beings. Hence, Bodhisattvas are patient in this practice. So everything must be patient. So just like my student I told you yesterday, he told me, because he's tortured by his boss, taken by his boss, so he just living in the hell, every day have to go to work Monday to Friday. It's a very, very painful experience, right? So what to do? He says, 师父，我就是在修人的 I'm practice tolerance now. But I'm so worried, If you are still don't get rid of a self-attachment, you still have an ego, very egoistic, and you didn't have a self-reflection, say you also got make a mistake, then it's very difficult. That's why you know the Dharma, you know how to, how to solve your problems, with the wisdom. Okay, that definitely is different from ordinary people. So you'll be more happier, and sometimes, 不要这么 calculative, just let go. Then you can just treat it like those sentient beings are due to ignorance, without wisdom. So 可怜他咯, pity them咯, because they are there, they create a karma. Okay? So this is called compassion. But of course, you don't just always very pessimistic, but we'll be more optimistic and face it. And if there's a chance to explain to him or her, this is how you try to influence them, because sentient beings are, they are all ignorant and so on and so forth. Okay, back to here. Now, so are patient in this practice, which is not limited by time or space or by perception of the mind. Here, next page. The Buddha summarizes, how Bodhisattvas stand, walk, and control their thoughts. Just like in our daily life. When you're walking, our thought, how to control our mind. Okay? That's why we Buddhism talking about vipassana, practice mindfulness, right mindfulness. This is one of the eightfold path. Alright? If you're mindful enough, I tell you, your memory should be very good one. It's less risk on getting the kind of dementia. Alright? So now newspaper came out. Now Singapore population getting older and older. So government to spend a lot of money on to build the hospital, healthcare. Now Ong Yi Kang, health minister, to propose the SG, SG or whatever, to prevent those people getting old. When you're getting old, health is definitely is a problem, right? Your health come up with some problems, then you need to go hospital to go for treatments, and then you need money. You need a doctor's nurse to take care of you. Then everything. That's why I tell you, in England, newspaper came out, a lot of nurses protest. Actually, they protested 2 times already, The second time, the recent newspaper came out. Why? Low pay or underpay. So asking for increase the pay increment. Right? They are 这么辛苦吗? And why the England government don't pay them the money? They should pay them more, because just as Singapore pay those nurses and more money, because they had to fight with COVID-19. Those patients, had to take care of them, all throughout the whole day, 24 hours, running shift and so on and so forth. Why the government don't give them increase their pay? No money, bolui. Because the money also go to those other area already, right? So they got no money, and the nurse asking to pay, so they protest. The government to give it, so they just protest. You see, the England, 跟你讲, the economy very bad, I studied in England, I know. Now recently the Qing, right? I tell you, today newspaper came, the young people, they don't recognize one. They don't care about kingdom or whatever. It is more or decline already. Who care? The young people say, who care? The king do nothing. And you spend millions of pounds or whatever to, I think maybe comment, this is how, get frustration, those very frustrated, the British people. They're jobless, they got no money and enjoy your life, nothing. So, this is life. Sorry, I'm not talking politics. You may not be happy. Okay, Dharma. Kong. Hey, this is also something to do with Dharma. Sometimes I'm not talking nonsense. It's just that your mind cannot twist. Your thoughts 死板板的 Dharma. Kong. really tauka kang kang long. You see, as a Buddhist, must be cheerful. Now people look at me, Venerable, also what to do? You must be more optimistic. So what to do? If you're so many cool and pessimistic, the thing won't change. The world, just because of you, they change the whole thing. Who are you? The thing won't change. Then the thing cannot change, then you change yourself. Simple as that. 他不改你改嘛，对吗？ In Chinese 嘛。So you cannot change your wife, you change yourself. Or your husband. 可以喏，你要改变一个人 not easy one, Not easy, Human beings are the kind of character. Chinese say 江山易改，本性难移。The character very difficult to change. But according to Dharma, can be changed. Probably next slide. Impermanent emptiness, right? Impermanent, of course, cause suffering. But because of impermanent, subject to changes. So from bad to good, good to bad. So can be changed, right? So, control their thoughts, which they do by giving birth to a thought. So completely altruistic. Altruistic is the time benefiting others. In fact, this word is actually from the Christianity, salvation. We talk about salvation. Of course, the Red Cross, the Singapore Army salvation. So all this word 救世嘛 salvation is from Christianity one. Of course, this is English, so you have to borrow the terms, right? Altruistic. Altruistic 就是利他嘛，就是 benefiting others. I mean, in Buddhist thought. So it includes neither self nor other. Subhuti expected something different, although he asked on behalf of those who would travel the Bodhisattva path. His questions were those who might expect of a Stravaka. Stravaka, 声闻, listener or whatever. If you attended my Dharma class, you should know. Okay, I explain you very fast one. In short, means during the Buddha time, those follow the Buddha teaching and listen to the Buddha talk, his sermon or preaching, and this is called Stravaka. Chinese called 声闻, or we call it listener, hearer in English. This is in Sanskrit called Stravaka. So of a Stravaka of the lesser path interested in moral discipline and meditation. But instead of telling us how to conduct our life and our practice, or how to control our thoughts, the Buddha tells us to give birth to a thought. So the Buddha approach is, homeopathic. What is homeopathic? That means they just follow the nature, to heal the way how to heal the illness. 像这个顺势疗法. Okay? He uses a thought to put an end to all thoughts. Just like using the concept of emptiness to end of all negative thought. It means by using the concept of emptiness means detachment. So you don't cling on, especially for the negative thought. Negative, 不是 positive thought. Not like A-Path called right thought, right? A-Path, the second, right understanding, right thought, 正见, 正思维. Not that one. But to effect such a cure, and not just any thought will do, on the thought directed, towards the liberation of all beings will work. Thus, Bodhisattva turned their thoughts into offering. Right? That means into more concrete one, into practice, in order to benefit sentient beings. So, of course, when you talk about Bodhisattva, it's enlightened beings, Pusa, that are going Pusa. It's basically due to the great compassion, tape, to benefit as more as possible to all sentient beings. Right? To all sentient beings. Definitely to practice no self. It cannot be selfish. You look at Singaporean, not Singaporean, especially Chinese, all human beings in the world. People are very selfish. Right? Very unhygienic. I told you already, COVID-19 will never disappear. WHO came out with a newspaper. Although they declared that no more emergency, 没有什么紧急的哈, but the risks are there because the virus will never disappear. Our Deputy Prime Minister also said in the newspaper this morning. So everybody have to very alert, be careful. So you still have to put on the mask. I think especially in the public place. I told you already, I told the student in my class I joke with them. I said the mask had to wear until we go to the coffin. Because the variant keep on changing. Today newspaper came out in April. From beginning of April to 20-something April, per week, I think 1,000, more than 1,000, 2,000, now dropped to 2,000 something. Initially can go up to 3,000 something. People got it, COVID-19. And now the COVID-19, I heard, is different virus, It will take 8 to 9 days, take at least in general, at least 7 to 10 days or even up to 12 days. I got one student, he took 11 days to recover. So you cannot compare, say, how come you 5 days and 7 days, how come people 8 days, 9 days or whatever? Because different virus. And how come people will get it? I tell you, sure got cause and effect 因跟果的嘛. You see, you put on a mask, but don't tell me you put on for the 24 hours, like you sleep or you eat, you have to take out the mask. Then what happens? You take out the mask, condition arise. 刚好他那个 virus 看到，胖滚滚、小滚滚，那边只卡进来，卡进。And I told you the virus according to Master Shen Yan, you don't have the kind of consciousness to distinguish, Buddhist 唔通去 non-Buddhist should attack. They can't differentiate. So 你咪講啊，我是念阿彌陀佛，金剛不壞身，去咯，去死咯，金剛不壞身咯。我念2碗寶懺的咧，三昧水懺的，哇，24 hours 都是阿彌陀佛，你去屙看埋啦，你嘴開咯，有笨的湯，來了，剛好屙。So this is called superstitious. Doesn't mean that you're Buddhist, they won't attack you. Doesn't mean that I'm a monk, he didn't attack me, Monk 也是會中的呢，對不？That's why 聖嚴法師 explain is very good explanation. He said the virus don't have consciousness on. 它不像你腦筋，我們的腦 our brain can think one, okay 喏？這個豺狼，這個虎狼 ，the virus 籠中虎狼，籠中 attack 你嗎？籠中豺狼，籠中 attack， right 喏？ And some people say, come to temple 哇，home sweet home 呢 ，very safe one。啊，條 temple 嗰個慘，跟你講，安怎呢 ？So many people come， right 喏？ Temple is a public place, so you'll get it very easily one. So you are wrong. So 哪个地方最安全？家里比较安全。家里也是不一定 100%， correct no? You don't get it, but your brother sister get it, then they transfer to you, correct no? Okay, back to here. This Zhao Ming, you want to know who is he? Page 441, you can refer to yourself. Now he titled this, The True Teaching of the Great Path. Because this is a true teaching of the great path. This great path means in the Mahayana teaching. Right? Hui Nen is a founder of the six patriarchs, Liu Zu Hui Nen. Right? So you can refer to the page 449. He said this teaching is neither true or false. Okay? This path is neither great nor small. So this is just a middle path. Right? You know middle path, 中道, neither A nor B. Right? A, B. Neither A nor B, so this is a middle path. We are always in this straight line. Either this or this. That's why we have a differentiated mind, and this is how we suffer. We are suffering now. So we should go beyond that. Don't cling on to A, don't cling on to B, because A and B are impermanent. Depend on causes and conditions. Clear? Subject to changes. So we don't influence by them. Yeah. Don't influence by them doesn't mean that we don't recognize. Don't recognize is another thing. It's two different things. Okay, so neither great or not small. Salvation and liberation depend on ability. Choose among the different doctrines and hold up one for veneration. Thus follows a chapter on the true teaching of the great path. Now this gives us a general introduction. So before you go to the verse. So now can you see the first one? You see the verse here? Page 72. The Buddha said to him, Subhuti, those who would now set forth on the Bodhisattva path should thus give birth to this thought. Now, so basically for this chapter 3, right, is to tell us, what is the authentic teaching in Mahayana tradition or Mahayana Buddhism. So basically, the authentic teaching, of course, especially in this Diamond Sutra, emptiness. Or we make it more precise, 比较准 accurate, is ultimate emptiness. Emptiness is an abbreviated term, right? I told you already just now, emptiness and ultimate emptiness is slightly different from Theravada. Because Theravada talking about emptiness is more on the self, get rid of self-attachment. But in the Maya tradition, ultimate emptiness means emptiness of emptiness. We are not simply just, get rid of self-attachment, but accept as all things in the phenomena. So it's called 法执. 不止破我执，还有法执, right? Including other things. So it's all rounded. So that's two different types of emptiness, sunya. Okay, back to here. You see how this verse going to tell us? The Bodhisattva path is a path of active. So when you tell people, say, I receive the Bodhisattva precepts, or so Pusa Jie, you don't be so arrogant, and very happy, because of 高人一等, you're just a normal precept, 5 precepts, 10 precepts. I'm Bodhisattva precepts. I must sit in the VIP seat. Must stand in front. But tell you, Bodhisattva path is very easy to violate the precepts, Not only just vegetarian, but it must really help a lot of people, benefit essential being, Cannot be selfish, Okay? Clean toilet, ask you to clean toilet, you better go and clean, Sweep floor, you also sweep, You say, no, I'm do paperwork on computer. I help as a computer, key in data one. Then this is not Bodhisattva path already, Because you try to differentiate, I do the paperwork, I don't do the kind of blue collar job one, clean toilet, this sort of thing, because I got standard down for no standard one. And some people compare, when I taught the Dharma class outside, the student, I told you before, the student told me, 师父, 我说为什么你不要洗厕所？我不用洗，我福报够了，给他们去洗。你看，你上这 SQ 福报够了，我个真大嘴啊！你讲的 big 猫啊，福报不够的 ，it's just money. Do you think money is enough? 越多越好嘛。你可以讲说我钱够了吗？各位喏 ，Where go you feel contented one 满足的 ，you never feel contented one 吗 ？You want more and more and more, right? So human beings are like that. There's a strong desire. Of course, he wants you one husband, one wife. 你以为那个 husband 只是要一个 wife 呀？如果可以的话，他越娶多越好。I mean, most of the guy, 对不对 ？Sorry 啊。Desire 嘛，老婆哪里一个够？如果漂亮这么多个，如果全部都是娶过来，不是好吗？各位喏 ，and this is a desire. Human beings are like that one. 各位喏。Okay, back to here. So rather than passive, more active, not passive, right? Even within the certain distance, when somebody gives you a Dharma talk or Dharma lesson, especially the true Dharma talk, 正法, you must go and attend, You can say, I live in Jurong, Jurong very far. Singapore where got far? East to west, north to south. Singapore just an island only, ma. You are not in Beijing or in China or in United States. So 如果你不去听 if you don't go and attend 你破戒了 violate the precept. 你个公公 Bodhisattva precept. 所以think twice before you receive. Right? So you climb also must climb here to go and attend the talk. You don't attend 破戒. And this is one of the Bodhisattva precepts. You cannot give such an excuse, I live in Paspanjang, very far. Dharma class cannot, no time. Some time, no time, far or near. Go and attend. You don't attend, you violate the precept, you 破戒, break the precepts. And this is called Bodhisattva precepts. Of course, you want stricter, more stricter. It's just like you do the PhD, the standard will be higher because it's the highest degree already. If you do the primary school, secondary school, 才little saw in Cantonese. Because the standard is different. So I tell you, if you say, some people say, 师父为什么没有 certificate? You want the certificate? Can. Exam. You want to sit for exam? Some people are exam. Right now. The organizer asked me, Venerable, do you want to have a graduation ceremony. I say, no, because no exam, how to ceremony? Well, no. I say, until you sit for the exam, make sure you pass, then give you a certificate. Well, but with the certificate, you can't find the job one. The only way this certificate is very valid, but you apply the job cannot bo pake. But one thing is valid, especially you go to the Pure Land. The Dharma protector 护法神那边的 show me your certificate in the Diamond Sutra. Diamond Sutra, come go. 那种就可以，没有那个你可以。So certificate only valid when you go there, but 都没办法。So he advises Bodhisattva not to wait for thought to arise, but to give birth to a thought that puts all other thoughts to flight. A thought like the morning sun that chases the mirror, a lot of stars from the sky. The language used here suggests that this thought has been, gestating within us for many lifetimes, and it is now time to bring it forth to give it life. So in other words, you see, Bodhisattva, they just, very close to us in our daily life, not high in the mountain or whatever. You see, you just imagine if the temple, all the temple, earlier time in China, temple are built in the mountain top or far from a remote area, from the city, then who want to go there? Correct or then afterward, 5點、半更、6點，你起到8點，你 can't do anything. Then touch the door, bye, then go back again. So therefore, you see those mountains in the village or mountain area, the temple, they close very early on, 因為冇人去啊。So after 晚課 night service 8點 the most 8點 I think no 可能7點6點關啦。After night service 晚課 close shop because nobody come out. And therefore they can wake up very early. How when they wake up, to do the morning service 早課3點 the earliest is 3 a.m. Of course they go to bed earlier, they can wake up very early. But nowadays different. Just that we are call it not village man. You attended the class before. We just live with all very near one in the city area. That's why now we can conduct Diamond Sutra, or you can conduct class during the night, no problem. So you can come easily to attend the Dharma class or Dharma talk. But in that kind of area, very difficult. Where got Dharma talk, Dharma class? So you are considered very fortunate, no? Right? So this is considered good karma, no? Why not? Especially you are born in Singapore, no? You see, of course, you just laugh because I went overseas, nearly 10 years. You compare, of course, you cannot say Singapore. You score 100 marks, everything very good. No, nothing is perfect one, right? But to me, if I'm going to mark Singapore how they perform, I will mark 80%, 80分. I don't know how you mark it. So 賣嫌背派啊，愛嫌。好叫真歹聽，愛嫌敢那曬啦，你看。Okay, so thus this is the most important next page event in the Bodhisattva careers, and what makes a Bodhisattva, right? Due to great compassion, he practice no self, not for self gain, self benefit, even sacrifice yourself for the sake of sentient being. So according to the Vimargati Sutra, 维摩诘经, 心净国土净, there's a phrase. If everybody have a pure mind, pure thought, positive thought, then that time have a positive behavior, more positive behavior, right? You won't be so selfish. You're not egoistic. Correct not? So you are more considerate. More considerate of other people. So you won't dirty the place, everything clean, go to market, hawker center, having some food or whatever, make sure return the tray, everything must put properly, everything. So the bird won't come already. So 心净不是国土净吗? I educate the student outside. 这个就是修行嘛. If you have a pure mind, definitely the place will be pure, will be clean. Not just go to the 阿弥陀佛西方极乐世界. We can convert Singapore, this land, this island, into very clean. If everybody have a pure thought. Why not? 心净国土净嘛. But unfortunately, everybody, negative, selfish, you see the newspaper came out, the rubbish they throw every year, how many tons, 800多万吨呢。A lot of rubbish, Singapore. They clear a lot of rubbish, throw anyhow. And the plastic bag, they charge you already started already. 20 cents. In Taiwan, you buy something, if you want the plastic bag, you have to pay. So Taiwan, they are become very natural because it's a customary. If you go to Taiwan, if you don't bring your own plastic bag or whatever, then you ask them to give you, then okay lah. Taiwan, how much? 10 NT or whatever. 10 块 NT, you pay. You see, you may want to argue, I throw rubbish at home, eat everything. I must use plastic bag to put in the plastic, then I throw. No plastic bag, how to throw? Yes, you're right. But what government tried to tell us, the convey the important message is that you don't misuse the plastic bag. But a lot of people misuse. One item, throw. One item, throw. They don't know this one cannot burn one, plastic. 它烧了不溶的 You will create the environmental problem, 会造成整个有问题 Right? So they ask you not to, it's just want us not to misuse the plastic bag. 不要滥用. So if you really need it, then you use it, or you pay for 10 cents, 20 cents. 你说我那没有 plastic bag 我怎么办？不是叫你不要用，你用不要乱用。Don't misuse it, So this is an important message. But a lot of people selfish, don't care 嘛，他家死是大家的屁事嘛，关我什么事？ You know what I mean? Then everybody like that 料咯。And you know how to use the water? How to waste the water? So all these are dharma, 你不要讲说这个跟 dharma 没有关系，师父你跟我讲这个干嘛？我要空，你可以空咯，对不对？对咯。I tell you, this is how you relate the dharma in your daily life. 不是只是念阿弥陀佛你念的你心里不清净 ，praise also dirty. I tell you, 对咯？你去看看 HDB flat， 如果没有那个 sweepage sweep, I told you before, right? Early in the morning, 你 see so many rubbish. You say Singapore clean clean 个头clean. To me, it's not clean. 你看到 people how so selfish. You go to the market, 你看的都怕，我去买东西Even bird eating on the table, he sit down there next to the bird, 排坐一起吃，你看这样So unhygiene, 他也是这样吃So you dare to eat in the hawker center, I dare not. 赶快买的回家吃 Very dirty And these are human beings. 讲不了 Okay, back to here. So according to the Nirvana Sutra, the mind that set forth and the one that arrives are not different. But of the two, the former is beset by difficulties. Of course, there are many, some they quote the scholar what they say. So you can refer to the glossary. For instance, like Dao Chuan, next one, you can go to 464. Shen Zhao, you can go to page 460. Page 460. Shen Zhao is one of the prominent figure in Madhyamika, Zhongguan, the tradition in China. Right? It's a great philosopher and monk, very popular one. Shen Zhao in Chinese. Because he talking about emptiness, Madhyamika, middle path, Zhongguan, middle path, Zhongdao. Shen Zhao in Chinese. So you can refer to your glossary behind page 460. Okay, next verse. However, page 73 at the bottom. However, many beings they are in whatever realms of being might exist. You see how they explain? The Bodhisattva's journey does not end until, because he want to liberate all beings. It's just like Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, 地藏菩萨, 第一不空，四不成佛. They must make sure the hell is empty. Otherwise, he cannot finish the task. So he made such a great vows. Want to liberate those beings suffer in the hell, 地狱受苦. Now, you just imagine, do you think the hell will empty? There's no way. Every day, every second, or whatever, people in, out, in, out. Well, you do the bad things, you kill a lot of people, come in. Then you out already, just like in the prison, right? Okay, release you already. then you against the law of the society or whatever, then you come in again, go to prison again, then go out again. So you just imagine, in, out, in, out. And some country, the prison in the country is full house. They cannot take any prisoner anymore. Right? But Singapore not too bad. Singapore so small, it depends on population, 5.6 million population, Singapore. 你知道新加坡人口吗？蛮闹亏嘞 ，We are all Singaporean 嘞。So people totally ask you, 师兄，你们新加坡多少人啊？唔知呀嘞。You're Singaporean, you don't know. Around 5.6 million people, 560万左右。But really speaking, Singaporean is about 3 million, 2%, 3 million, half of it. The other half is those migrated one, PR, or converted to Singaporean. 也是蛮多的嘞 ，a lot. Local born in Singaporean, I mean in Singapore as a Singaporean, 不是很多嘞 about 3 million only, So about 40% are import, migrated to Singapore. Okay? So here, it said until all beings are liberated, make sure they are all attain liberation. Right now, this is my task. You just imagine, no end or endless. 哪里会 stop 的 Right now? So it's just that now the virus is never disappear, so we'll keep on fighting. Right? They must think about another strategy, how to counteract, to overcome this one. So government, they have a review the report. Singapore government very good, Taiwan, they don't care. 过了就过了, dissolve the team or whatever. Singapore, they will make sure you put on the statement on the paper, then you must report to the MP in the Parliament House. Make sure when the next future that will happen again, how we are going to counteract to prevent it, to fight with another COVID-19 or whatever. Right now, last time is the first time, everybody is the first time. Right? So now we got experience already. Yeah. Okay, next page. So are liberated. Make sure all are liberated. But if this is to work, the category SUTRA, SUTRA you see in bracket being, like sentient being, 有情众生, must be expanded, include all beings. Not only human beings, all beings, all sentient beings. 全部的众生. The Buddha realizes that those who would travel the Bodhisattva path have no way of knowing the full range of being they have vowed to liberate. Hence, he lists the following category to provide some useful parameter, because you do not include all. Who are them? Those living beings. That's why they listed here. Some is we give it from the egg. We are all from the egg because it's male and female, sperm and egg. So 我们是胎生嘛。And the mosquito is from the water one. So how to prevent the dengue fever mosquito? Make sure you don't have the water left behind. Your water bill or whatever, make sure you put upside down or whatever. 你没有水，它就不会来了嘛。When you have a water, condition arise, very funny one, all this being, mosquito come out. And 化身 is those in the pure land. 他们是化身的. It's not husband and wife, male and female, sperm and egg, no? And it's not from water. This is called 化身. So those happen in the pure land, right? So all different, depend on whether they are human being or other being. So, provide some useful parameter, for such great resolve. So these categories, however, are merely provisional. Okay? Are merely provisional and not meant to establish any real differences among the beings they categorize. As you know, all things are impermanent, depend on the karma, and so on and so forth. So meanwhile, no matter how great their number, no matter how diverse they might be, the Bodhisattva, or we call it Bodhi being, 有情众生, enlightened being, resolve to liberate them all. So regardless whether you are 化身, 什么身, whatever. Right? As long as a Bodhisattva, due to the great compassion, we just want to benefit all sentient beings in the world. Not only just human beings. Of course, he said that Bodhisattva want to benefit all sentient beings, but the main focus, take note of that, the main focus is on human beings. So 你不要颠倒pet, now they want to discuss in the parliament whether they want to leave out the kind of ban the pet, especially cat, 喵 whether can have a nail in the HDB flat, no. But there's a law, no, they ban, no. But now a lot of people cepat buat tai jizo ma. So, mesti buat tai jizo lah. But some people like it ma. I say I cannot make such a comment. Because some people like it, what to see. You gotta go sorry. Better think before I talk. Especially for your class, you know. English, I don't know your background. Chinese school, quite. Although he hate me, he cannot just criticize in front of me. Your is open-minded one. So I complain your email to the Lord. Wow. Next one come, right? Venerable, they complain you, know. You're talking about the pen, you know, mouth, bang. Okay, so today the time stop here because time's out at 11:15. Anything you want to ask me? Those who are interested, one can refer to grocery like Shen Zhao, you know, all those Chao Ming who are there, you know. Anything you want to ask me? If no, 11:15, we will end the lesson here. Okay, if not, please hold the palm. Shall we do a dedication? 回向. May all the merits thus accumulated be dedicated to all sentient beings. May all sentient beings and I together attain Buddhahood. Okay, please stand up. Please hold the palm. One bow to the Buddha. Okay, enjoy lunch. See you all next lesson. On the next lesson. Okay, go for lunch. See you. Bye.